More people in the world are overweight than undernourished. Obesity levels are rising. I'm Jacques Peretti, and in this series I'm going to trace those responsible for a revolution in our eating habits. I'll be looking at how decisions made behind closed doors transformed food into an addiction.
People who have a hard time controlling their weight, their brains are being hijacked.
At how business changed the shape of a nation.
From a marketing standpoint, as long as it didn't curtail or anchor you in a negative way, you were fine.
And at how the food industry itself choreographs temptation.
And everybody who says to you that it's all your own fault, forget it. The evidence is the exact contrary.
It is a war. It's a war between our bodies and the accessibility that modern society gives us with food.
I'll be telling the story of those who turned eating food into an epidemic. What's strange is how quickly this has all happened. The average person in Britain is nearly 3 stone heavier than they were 50 years ago. And this extra weight doesn't just affect the way we look. It massively increases our chances of getting a host of related diseases. It's a new kind of epidemic. We're not becoming lazier or greedier, but the food industry has changed the very nature of what we eat in the last 40 years. And that may have changed our shape too. What's even more worrying is the fat we can't see. It's this kind of invisible obesity that threatens many of us. These hidden fat deposits put me at risk of diabetes and cardiovascular disease.
Long term, this actually could be quite troublesome for your health.
And it's the same for millions of us.
Unfortunately, normality in the UK has become someone who is overweight or obese, who doesn't have enough sleep, who drinks too much, and who works very long hours.
It's believed our appetite for high-calorie foods came about 10,000 years ago, when we were hunter-gatherers. Now the food industry has made fattening foods available everywhere.
We're cavemen that were moved from a cave into a supermarket, and there are all these delicious things that I want to eat. And some of us restrain ourselves from doing it, other people find it very difficult. Genetically, we haven't changed, but our environment, our access to cheap food has changed. Well, we've been bombarded all day, every day by the food industry to consume more and more food. That's their job, make money to make it fun. It is a war. It's a war between our bodies and the accessibility that modern society gives us with food. And as a scientist, I feel really depressed because we are losing the war against obesity.
This is the great American meal. Beef fed on corn. Bread made with corn syrup to make it last longer. Fries fried in corn oil. Ketchup made with corn syrup. Soda made with corn syrup. There's a direct link, I think, between the overproduction in the 70s of corn and the overconsumption of food today.
High fructose corn syrup has a sweetness index of 120. So it's actually sweeter than sucrose. So you'd think, well, gee, if it's sweeter, you should be able to use less. But they don't. They use more. And the question is, why is that? And that's a question that only the soft drink companies can answer. But I can give you my impression. It's because they know that the sweeter they make it, the more we buy.
With hindsight, it's easy to demonize the soda companies as making America fat. But at the time, when you talk to people like Hank, who worked at Coca-Cola, the decision was simple. It was a no-brainer. High fructose corn syrup was going to bring costs down, and the public seemed to love it. It was a very simple business decision, but one that just happened to have some very serious consequences. The sugar industry rejects the claim that any one ingredient can be responsible for weight gain. But if Doctors Lustig and Schwartz are right, the effect of fructose on the liver is what's driving America's obesity.
In the 70s, eating between meals was still frowned upon. But the food industry was working hard to change that.
The snack society is threatening the old style of eating at home. On Sundays, food is still a family affair. During the week, the young with money in their pockets rely less and less on home cooking.
The question is not why there's so many fat people or so many obese people. The surprise are why there are thin people in an environment where it's leading us all to be obese.
It's pretty difficult to cope in this obesity epidemic with the prevailing conditions. And everybody who says to you that it's all your own fault, forget it. The evidence is the exact